Trust me, guys, I need Jesus right about now. I don't have a Jesus in my teeth right now because I'm just like absolutely injured.com. But you know what? It is what it is. Caffeine and a bit of ibuprofen tablets do a job for a couple of hours anyway. Still, you know, God bless technology anyway to invent them things anyway. So this is how we do it. On Affinity Extra, we're here to be extra, and everyone knows that this is the I would say the Cobra Kai element of of Affinity Extra. This is Roger here, keeping it caustic. I'm saying Cobra Kai. It's just, you know, if you ain't watched it, you need to watch it anyway. Still, yeah, you're missing out. And let's make sure, but still watch your messages on YouTube anyway for church anyway. So yeah, but anyway, right, today I have a guest with me. I'm just making sure everything recording because it's gonna go onto YouTube and evidence will be kept there. So there'll be very little editing. I'll purposely mute it there so I can just chat, and she can't say nothing. She can't butt into me. But anyway, I'm gonna first introduce this young lady. First of all, it's her name is Audrey Gray, and she is not only now she's got a new position at Gmia. She also supports and works with us on Affinity Extra. She also, I know she got a finger in many pies, man. But a main thing is, you know, for me, you know, is that she's almost been has a very industry perspective of things. And the ironic thing is, it's almost prophetic, you know, in terms of her name and email address when I have to put an industry developer. Yeah, it's really cool, you know what I'm saying, because she is 100% I call her big sis, auntie. I don't know which one she'll talk me on anyway. Still, yeah, which one I'm allowed to say, but either way, still, you know, we're gonna be chopping it up about UK gospel. We've seen many debates, many great debates, whack debates, funny debates and whatsoever, but we want to be very progressive. She's been doing some other things called gospel topics in the background, which we want to encourage you guys jumping in, and some of the initiatives that we're going to be moving forward with. So you're gonna, we've spoke before on a show before, on the Lift show, and we kind of get emotional because we maybe bring up if you got church hurt, we got gig hurt, yeah. So I'm gonna bring in Audrey to this before I start chatting away and start chatting away the whole conversation. But I'm gonna bring in Audrey. Audrey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
And we can hear you nice, loud and clear. So I don't have to warn you about my conversations.
But I have to warn you about editing. I think we might need to negotiate the editing.
This is uncut the edge.
That's right.
This is the full truth, nothing but the truth. So help me, Lord Jesus Christ. But okay, right. Obviously, I introduced myself, introduced you kind of bitty. But either way, sis, yeah. Listen, I know you got past in gospel music, and let's start, because you know you always talk about, like, it's almost like you come from. You always say you come from the West Indies, and you know what I mean, where you never really come from the West Indies. It was a bit of a detour, breakaway, and whatsoever.
Life detour.
So before everyone goes, see, it's gonna be soca music all day long because these Trini folks that go come and push this on us. But it's not. It's bigger than that, 100%. So sis, where did it all begin for you when it comes to gospel music? Was you a church girl, or did you end up in church, or how did it go for you?
So I loved to sing always.
Okay.
And, as soon as I got saved, it was like, you know what? You need to give me some music, Lord, because I need to throw away these cassettes. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So love to sing.
At what age? What age was you singing from?
Oh gosh. I don't know, quite a late bloomer, really on the grand scale of people that love to sing, that was singing from 3 years old. I'd say about 12, I really started to get into music.
Still young.
To me, that's a late bloomer. About 12, I really started to get into music. Used to go around to my godfather's house and listen to music, the albums back to back. Yeah, vinyl.
Okay.
The real stuff.
Yeah.
Learn all the background vocals, learn all the musical changes, like, you know, when you study an album. And funnily enough, most of that was Bob Marley.
Okay,
so
okay.
It's like soaking up all that. The richness in that music, there's is undeniable.
That's crazy, because I thought you could say something like Andrew Crouch and all that business. But you can say Bob Marley.
Mostly Bob Marley albums, trust me.
Wow.
Back to back. He had all of them, and I really soaked those in. And I joined a choir after I got saved. Choir was like every other day we used to rehearse.
Okay.
Like literally, so you had no time to get in trouble.
Where was this? What area was this?
So it's in North London.
Okay, so you're Londoner,
it's North
you're a Londoner. Yeah, cool.
So Northwest London I used to live in. So so just the choir was growing. It went on the road. It did TV appearances, etc. All this time I was working in a government job at the same time, and I got the opportunity to go overseas through my job.
Okay, cool.
And so I ended up in Trinidad and Tobago. So I did like a 3-year tour in Trinidad and Tobago, and then I went to Washington afterwards to do another 3-year tour. And so at the end of that 3-year tour, I had the opportunity to go back to Trinidad, and that's what I did. So went back there to live. So like all in all, I was out of the UK for about 12 years, which is like,
wow.
To me, it was hard to really get my head around it when I came back, because I just felt totally foreign to the UK and slightly displaced. But while I was in Trinidad, I started a company vocal coaching students, and it really, really took off when I tried to get a young lady onto a national TV show, a talent show, which was for under 25s, and she didn't show up. But I was at the studio, so they interviewed me instead.
Wow.
And like I always tell people, to date, I don't know what I said, but when I came off that show, my phone was ringing off the hook. So it basically just lived off vocal coaching for about 6.5 years.
Wow.
Which is, to me, is just crazy. And was like featured in their local newspapers, because obviously here's this mad English woman teaching people to sing, calling herself a vocal coach, because like even the term, I think they say vocal teacher there, they don't say vocal coach. So it had all this mystery around it. And, more and more students were coming, and quite organically, I would say, I think you need to stop coming to lessons. Every lesson you come to, I'm crying at the end of the lesson. Go and do a CD or something, or go and start a band or something. So I would encourage people to do these things, but they kept coming back to me, Roger, and saying, Miss, I don't know what to do next.
Wow.
I don't know what to do next. So then by default, I ended up managing artists.
Oh, wow.
And as you know, it kind of gets to a stage where you're running your blood to water. So started to educate artists as well. Okay. To sort of build, because I realized that a lot of artists didn't know about, performing rights or royalties, or understand the process of those things, etc. So then I started doing that more often. But they kept coming back. So I ended up sort of doing events, teaming with other managers and working with their artists as well. Cool. Putting on an annual event called Glow, which is still running now. If it wasn't for COVID, it would be still running now, and it ran every year in Tobago, sort of on the premise that most of the artists that came to Trinidad would come to Trinidad and Tobago, went to Trinidad because it was a bigger island. So we started doing events in Tobago. So it's like first time in Tobago events. So we had Ty Trebbit, we've had William McDowell, DJ Nicholas. We had quite a few people. Marley Music, Jessica Reedy, Jonathan Nielsen, like completely, the list just goes on. And obviously they're very eager to come to the Caribbean. So, securing those things were quite easy, but it's like the logistics of putting it on is a whole nother thing. So after that, was 12 years, I came back to the UK with my daughter and decided I wasn't going to do anything in music. But you know how that is. Yeah. If it's in your blood, it's in your blood. Kind of creep up on you. And then one by one, like people from Trinidad were messaging and on my wall. Why do people do that? Just do it in your inbox. But when are you coming back to Trinidad? Oh, wow. Like, why? Because you're the greatest manager ever. No, don't write that. Don't write that there. So I started to be approached by people in the UK. Yeah. And then ended up working with one artist that I then ended up taking to the Caribbean. And just started to scope out the land and look what wasn't really working. And like the Caribbean, I realized that we are underdeveloped, but in different ways. Trying to look at how those things could be improved. Okay. So I started Artist Hub, which does tour management. That was the main angle, was artist bookings and tour management. Yeah. Because I did find that I was seeing a lot of really great acts. But don't know how to would work in other regions. And I thought this is quite interesting in that they, even if they're not huge here, they could be huge abroad if they're placed in the right dynamic and their music is infiltrating that market. So I started Artist Hub. And I think definitely one of my first artists I worked with was Jake Isaac, and I still work with Jake Isaac. So I still almost like the PA to all the ministry side of stuff that he does, which is still very active. I know brilliant. You don't see a lot of the singer-songwriter stuff, but his ministry stuff is very, very active. Ended up using those same principles to tour Noel Robinson in the Caribbean. So Noel's been to quite a few islands as a result of facilitating tours that way. And I facilitated one for Hillsong last year. Was it last year? Would it be the year before?
Yeah.
And they went to Tobago, which was really, really huge. And we were due to go to Barbados just before April last year. Due to go to Barbados, and that just collapsed. So, yeah, it's been a very, I could describe my journey as a very organic one, because I just picked up skills as I went along.
That's it,
then sort of I would go and interview people who were doing it already, which was, people might have thought that was weird. It's like, yeah, let's go for a coffee. Then they find out they're being interviewed, literally, like, how did you start in the business? What do you think about this? How do you think we can improve this? We're like, but it really worked out well. And so Artist Hub and then Industry Developer is all about really coaching, mentoring. It's more bespoke.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, that's right. And because I'm getting older, and I want to make sure that I position myself in the market, that I'm actually useful to the market still. Yeah. And Level Tickets was the other thing I started. So it's a ticket platform in the same way that Eventbrite works, but it also promotes your event. Because I, again, identified an area that we're not promoting properly, I would say, when we put on events. Like in terms of having ticketing strategies and when we disseminate information and collecting our database and utilizing those databases well. So it's been interesting, very interesting journe.
And that journey's been over a good few decades, you know what I'm saying? Decades. We want to hide from that, but the reality show is that is a wealth of knowledge, sis, and I think that experience is key for doing industry things. 100%. If you want to make a bigger impact, you can't read stuff, you know what I'm saying, and all the stuff that he's mentioning there on this journey it's like you have to continually kind of evolve, reevaluate, move, never be static. And I find that the guys who are still trying to do stuff the same way they did 20 years ago are struggling right now, because they're not used to change, and they're just stuck in this mode, which is actually crazy. But there's a couple of things what I wanted to run past with you, because obviously you brought us up to date in terms of your projects within yourself and whatever, and it's great to hear that, because not many people would know that you can sing a note. I think sometimes we assume that all managers, but like myself, I can sing 2 notes when I'm ready, with the help of a backing track, and and stuff like that. So but it's sometimes people think, the whole industry element of it is because you're not talented enough to be on the stage, and sometimes we're just not passionate for that element of it, and we're passionate about something else, and we plug into that better, whatsoever. But the thing is, just being experienced myself as a bass player, being part of bands and going around the place. My wife's who was singing, and all that business gave me a perspective, and a good perspective about touring, going to another country as well. Touring, it gave me a perspective of what the artist needs. Also, it gave me a perspective of what I expect of artists to conduct themselves in a country. Now, that's a whole nother dynamic that I want to touch base, because sometimes, and we think there's too many artists that think they're Mariah Carey, and and they're coming and like say they're gonna bring the. And the thing is, we, in inverted commas, say we're Christians, but the thing is, we're here to serve the ministry that we're coming to input into. But it's like the ministry that they're coming into, they need to serve you. And I never forget going to Nigeria, and we, my wife performed there, and alongside another artist that we work with, Spanner, and And I remember one Sunday I said to the guys, yeah, we got to plug into, you got to work with these guys. And we made it easy for them. We worked with them, went to church with them, and we fellowshiped with them, and they enjoyed that experience with us. You know what I'm saying? And and it was a great experience for them as we was easy to host. Yeah. But I've been on the other side when American artists have come over and says, you know what I'm saying, it is an absolute nightmare. And I think there's a lot of things that has been complained about promoters and industry people, where actually it needs to be flipped upside down. Now, we'll get into some dark and jury stories without saying any names and everything like that still, But okay then, right, UK industry, let's go straight to it, man. UK gospel, you came over here from the Caribbean, a little old Caribbean that's meant to be poor and impoverished, and you came into a scene, correct me if I'm wrong, that was just coming out of the golden ages. Four Corners was coming out. Right. When I say golden age, everyone was like, what do you mean golden age? Golden age? No. There was a golden age where I believe after there was a surge in the 90s, and then there was a surge in the late 2000s when off the back of Green Jade, Isaiah, and a lot of these guys, Sinai, New Life, did a lot of great products were breaking through, and then it just Four Corners, and then you got I'll call it the Bible generation of rappers all came flooding through, and we see Governor B still today doing stuff, and maybe Faith, but that was on. There's only about 5 of them out of 50 that's still doing stuff, and that's a scary, if not more. You know what I mean? And then what is even scarier, probably a lot of them are not even in Christ anymore, so it's really, really scary. What's happening? So you probably came into that era of the fall, I'll call it. What did it look to you coming in? Did you think it should have been more established over here? Did you expect more?
Definitely, I did think so. I would have thought you'd be a lot further on. And I think that is part of the problem when outside markets are looking in at us, sort of tying the promoter issues into the industry condition. I think, well, obviously, we look up to the American market in a huge way, and the American market assumes that the UK is further than they are. Yeah. So when you're contacting American artists and you're inviting them to come to the UK, you're wanting to get information from them, their perception is that we are further than they are. So their costings reflect that. So when you're telling them, no, we can only afford to pay this, it looks like we basically are taking the mick. Because how could that be? I could get that at home. So they do come with a different perception, and I think sometimes that is a direct result of the amount of power we give to the US in the first place. So little promoter can't afford to book big acts, but the audiences here want big acts. And there is no understanding of what it actually costs to bring an act in, and what the return on investment's going to be.
But is that
particularly when you're dealing with an audience that wants the best for less?
But then this is my problem. Now this is maybe now guys are gonna say, Roger, you're wicked, because I'm slightly got my promoter head on, But is it because, and let's say our people, we're not feeling to extra, we're here to be extra, and we're here to say it as it is. We're always moaning about we get marginalized as black people. But do you find it's our own internal bad-mindedness that doesn't allow ourselves to grow? Because check this out, I took my wife on our first date to a group called New Joy. Was it our first? No, before we was going out. Yeah, actually, but to say, but you know what I mean, just we were talking, as they would say these days, and it was New Life, not New Life, New Joy. They came to the UK, and I remember paying 13 quid each for that show. That was not giving away my age too well. That was I was about 19 at the time, so I'm 44 now. Now, I can't charge
£13 out of someone now is an issue.
This is my problem, sis.
So it's just wow.
Like, how on earth do you?
Unless you're going Beyonce, of course.
Exactly. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, there you go.
13 quid. Now, how much your flights back then to go to America? Probably 250 quid or whatever, 100, 200 pound, if that, 180 quid. Now, flights are almost 1,000, but yet people still want to spend that money. But as you said, when they go to Music Soul Child, the same people, because I see them on Instagram, they go and spend the 30 quid. Yo, SWV's in town. They go spend their 50 quid. Yo, somebody, like you said, Beyonce's in town. Not 50, not 60, not 70, not 80, but 90 quid they're giving the children to go to events. So we almost create a rod for our own back within the gospel community itself, but we're not prepared to spend the money on our people, but then praise God and talk about kingdom business. You know,
But that's the thing, it is business. And so when promoters are setting up events, you've got to realize that there must be a return on investment of some kind. But it's like, I don't know, we switch from having a ministry mind, or some people switch from having a ministry mind to a business mind as it suits them. Because how can you not understand that it costs a lot to bring an act in, but then at the same token, you want the ticket for a lot less than, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, because it's ministry, but it's also business. And, you know, that confuses me, that people have that perception that why should I pay this for a Christian event? But by the same token, you're calling out for the biggest names. But those biggest names cost money.
Now, I'm going to be awkward now, edgy now, yeah? Can we blame... Oh, boy, I'm going to sound like some guy. Can we blame the poor education from our church with that mindset? Yeah, thinking that, you know, only one person gets paid, which is the pastor, and everybody in church, from worship leaders to everyone else, whatever. I'm talking about, especially in the Caribbean upbringing. You know, usually the minister gets paid if he's fortunate, and then everyone does it for the Lord, does it unto the Lord. So when it comes to music, whether gospel, whether you're doing it inside the building or outside the building, it's unto the Lord. So it's just like, yo, God will provide. And you're like, dude, are we always opening up our arms expecting?
But you know, there's a practicality to that, isn't it? It's just like if you want to book an artist, they need to travel to where they're going to. Yeah, they can't tap that Oyster card and say bless the Lord and it works. It doesn't work that way. But there is a practical element about everything that we do. And I think if you're going to super spiritualize it, then super spiritualize everything then and done. Do you know what I mean? Just don't confuse us with, you know, dipping in and out. I think that's the problem.
So you know, with booking with churches and stuff like that still today, as a booking agent, you know, you're booking and how is it when it comes to church? And people go, why are you asking me this question? Because, you know what, artists may be listening into this conversation, you know what I mean? And I think that it's
they get some solutions.
Solutions of how do you get past because like I said, you got a part-time church that has big time money, who got funds and whatever, or whichever way it is, but how do you approach that process of getting artists out there within churches in the UK? Because sometimes artists do want to go and do venues and stuff, but sometimes you want to start off in the safety of churches and go around. Is there a circuit out there that they can naturally go around as you as a agent or a manager can just plug into?
I don't think there's an existing circuit. That's one thing that America's got going for it. That's a model that we need to adopt at some stage. Good. Because they do have a denoted church circuit that they go on. We don't really have a circuit, to be honest. That's a problem.
Go back to Tobago and Trinidad, yeah? How did the circuit look there? Yeah, because America's massive. You know, it's a big, massive, you know, they can get away with murder. You can go down one street.
I wouldn't say it's so much as a circuit. It's just more, when there is an event occurring, a lot of artists may jump on the option to, you know, on the opportunity to go on it. And if that... because they understand the value of going on those events, no matter if they get paid or if they don't get paid. You see what I'm saying? They understand the value of the audience. They understand the value of the possibility of selling product or getting invited to other events.
Right.
So I think that's more the driving force for them. I'm not saying that they don't do events because they need to get paid or there's an expectation to be paid or honoured in some way. But I think the mentality of I will go and do it knowing that I'm not going to be paid for it, but I'm going to gather an audience, or I've got a product or merch that I'm going to be able to sell to them, I think that's more prevalent there than here. We're more likely to shun it because you're not paying me. But really you're eating once when you get an honorarium. But if you go there and collect a database, you can eat multiple times.
And you more wider mindset. Yeah.
So it's a different, and that does boil down to seeing things, your music ministry as a business. Because the minute you fail to do that, then what you have is a hobby And then that's why you were treated the way you're treated, because you're not taking it seriously, because people read how you behave, whether it is how you respond to an email, whether you have a booking system or you don't have a booking system, and that doesn't have to be a person, it could be an online form. People read how you behave and then they treat you accordingly. And that's just human nature. That's whether you're in the kingdom or not. That's just gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? So when you approach your work or your music, your career as a business, then that becomes obvious, and it doesn't have to be done in a harsh way. I think maybe most people think when you hear you have to treat your ministry as a business, they think it's quite harsh, but either you pay me this or I'm not coming. It's never like that. Never like that, because it has to be about relationship also. It has to be about relationship. So I'm really for artists seeing their business, their career as a business. Otherwise, as I say, it just boils down to a hobby. You're doing something you love with no expectation of actually being paid for it, or to generate any kind of sustainability from it.
Okay, cool. Now, you're doing something at the moment in the background. Now, anyone who wants to check it out, do directly hit up Audrey as well about this, about gospel topics, where you want to get people with your artists and whatever, and to really absorb where we are. And I believe we're in a time since where we can refit in gospel. We tools are down, and this is an ideal opportunity. We've got to use this, as much as it pains us that we ain't got a financial turnover that we should. It's really exposing certain things up. Now, looking at the exposure of things, what's some of the wowies that you've picked up over about 4 or 5? Is it 4? Is it 4 gospel topics you've done so far?
I think this might be the 4th one, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe, fourth one. Just describe to everyone who's listening in what gospel topics is, what the vibe of is, and what some of the outcomes that you've bumped into so far. Yeah,
so I started gospel topics as an outlet really for people during COVID, because generally I didn't see artists still releasing music and stuff like that. I found, again, it's an oddity, because I would think now's the time you can sing Jesus, Jesus, Jesus on national television and they will let you, because people need a message of hope. So really, if you're writing gospel messages or inspirational messages, you should be firing those off 10 to the dozen right now, because the world needs hope, and who else to give them but Christians? So I started it to start conversation, and immediately sort of set up this rule that, because I knew it would happen, you get people complaining or describing their experiences, and someone will always say, oh, that's been going on for 5,500 years and nothing's ever changed, blah, blah. So the general consensus in the room is, we'd love to hear your experience, but we also would like to hear a solution, because I think we have to come to grips now that we are the solution. And looking for someone to right all the wrongs, etc., is not the way to go. So we've had really good examples of what is happening in the industry, the things that pain us constantly, and then sort of examining what are potential solutions that we could come up with, or exploring why it went so badly wrong in the first place. So it's been a really good learning journey for everybody that's in there. So we have artists in there, we have managers in there, we have producers in there. We've started to get more international traction now, because we've had people from the US, Germany, Trinidad in that room now. And the topics vary. So I don't really come with a topic every week. I let people start talking, and let's see what comes to the service, and then let's start working on it. The other thing that it does is it writes up findings from those meetings. Because we need to have a centralized place where we can understand what's happening. In years to come, when people wonder why hasn't the industry moved along, that is something that's documented to say, these were the issues that we were facing, and these were the solutions that we attempted, or these are solutions that we didn't attempt. So the controversy is quite high in there sometimes. So and then it's like, what you need to do is you need to go to my pastor's church and go and talk to him about the fact that he doesn't help artists. I'm like, wow. How about you knock your pastor's door and tell him how you feel? Maybe that's where it should start. Someone like me can't come in until a lot later. I don't have any relationship with it. So it's just like, so realizing that we're the starting point sometimes. And then sometimes what I find as well is we create solutions, but we don't support the solutions. So you can speak to me for an hour about how I need to reconstruct the industry. Great. What role are you going to play?
I'll be on the outside, going home, looking after my kids, watching Netflix.
Correct. Or I would if it was paid.
Oh, yeah, that's that. Oh, goodness sake.
That's the line. Yeah. But then you expect me to do it unpaid, along with raising my child, going to university, doing a job, running free business. Okay, cool. This is interesting. It's interesting.
No. That's absolutely big. And I think, so what was there anything that shocked you that's ever been exposed in these gospel topics over? Anything that you like, wow?
You know what? It's not that it's a shock, but it was confirmed that there's, and maybe some people are going to argue against it, but there's a sense of entitlement that we have in the community. I don't know if it stems from church or if it stems from just this sense of entitlement that if I'm a Christian artist making Christian music, Christians should buy it. So you develop almost like a hang up about the fact that your material's not selling or you're not being supported, etc. Where it doesn't quite click that maybe your market is somewhere else. Maybe you should be thinking about outside the four walls of the church. Maybe your music is taking off in, I don't know, Japan somewhere. Do you know what I mean? In Yugoslavia somewhere. Then maybe that's where you need to start targeting your music. So that sense of entitlement thing, that is a big bear bug. And it does stick with us in different shapes and forms. It does stop progression as well. And then also, we don't very move practically. For example, I had an artist that I had a mentoring session with, and he wanted to map out a marketing strategy for his music. We started to talk about his album project, blah, blah, blah. We walked all the way through it. Then I said to him, so what's happening in your life personally? Oh, yeah, about to get married. I'm like, okay, you see the last half hour that we've just had in discussion? I want you to scrap that because your wife's not going to want to hear that she can't get a new washing machine because you've got a mix and master. So you need to put your priorities differently because what you're not going to do is mash up your marriage because you're trying to pursue your music. You need to align that properly. And he got really mad with me, like, so you're not going to help me? It's just like, I am helping you, whether you know it or not. I am helping you. And then it's like, it was months later, it's like, I'm so glad I took your advice, man. This marriage thing is hard. And we've had to set up house and move house X amount of time. So you've got to allow for some of those things, you know?
No, that's 100%. I remember speaking to artists and he says he wants to spend £3,000 per track, like £1,000 to produce it and then £2,000 in the video. And I was like, bro, you're married. That's good. That means you're bringing out one single a year if you're lucky. You know what I mean? And so is that really, if that's what you want to do, just do that. You know what I mean? But I'll just let you know, there ain't gonna be no album if you're gonna be paying that amount of money. You know, and but what I do feel sometimes we haven't got. Now, the thing is, in the Bible, you know, when the first early Christians there were a set of people that had an economical system going on where basically the laws doctor, they pulled their skills together, pulled their finances together, and everyone had a role to play, and nobody was, you know, we hear about Ananias and Sapphira, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, they're kind of, but you have to realize them principles were coming from a Jewish group. I can't remember the name, but there was the Sadducees, that was a group, you had the Pharisees, that was a group, and there's another group who were like in little villages, and they would have their own little ecosystem. And I feel if we can go back to some of the biblical principles and actually create our own gospel ecosystem, and I've delivered people see me deliver a lot of stuff like events and all these things and see me calm. It's not because Roger takes it all on himself. It's because I've had to create an ecosystem around me of not just slaves, do what I say, but creative geniuses, you know what I'm saying? Because I've worked with promoters and stuff, and I like to have people to come up to them, make them feel wanted. Oh, sir, do you want me to put this on the door? Sir. I'm like, dude, don't come to me with that. Yo, if you need to say don't come through this door, go and sort it out. Yeah, I don't go and sort, you know what I mean, sort it out. So it's working with ninjas as far as I can say, but we have to create this ecosystem because with this ecosystem we can bring a wealth into a collective thing and actually build our village. Yeah. That's I know. Is that a bit impossible to reach, or is that something where we can use this time to reach to create a gospel ecosystem?
Yeah.
Or you reckon
it's
people
something that we move towards bit by bit, because you have to convince the masses, I think.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
It's massive. But I mean, that ecosystem, CCM has that ecosystem.
Listen, Reach Records is the only successful models out there as a hit.
So there's models that are there. If
Yeah.
we study those models and work accordingly to what will fit us, not try to replicate them, but what will fit us. Because very often that's the problem. We trying to replicate the US market, but you've got to understand that they are an industry and we are a market. Do you understand that they've got a whole, like I say, just having a tour circuit is it's developing sustainability there. Understand where we lack different areas, and those different areas need to be filled in order for things to work fluidly.
Okay, this is my battle now. You just something. We're not an industry. We're a market.
We're a market.
Okay,
but markets develop into industries. That's the good news.
So
that is the good news, that they develop into industries. In industries, industries work with commerce.
Yeah.
They work with distribution channels.
Yeah.
They work with identifying your customer base.
But don't we do that? Okay, no. Did a few? Guys, we need to watch everything.
Whereas a market is less concerned about that. It's just about setting up your stall, if you want to look on a practical level, and just selling whatever you have today. You're not really noting that if I sell this product, I get home sooner, or I make more money. So then maybe I should just be buying all of these from the wholesaler. It's when you start to think like that, you realize, wait, then why am I need to work with someone who can bring the product to me. So all those little factors start to evolve into an industry. Sainsbury's was a market, wasn't it? It's a market store to start with.
Yeah. So
it's an industry. Yeah,
so it goes back to the balance of basically ministry and business. Yeah, and it's balancing that, and it's and the guys, I've seen it go wrong. Yeah, so as much as me and Audrey we're talking about industry and developing the industry in the UK,
overall,
you know what I mean? There's elements of the American market which you don't want to see seeping into this UK market, and you can almost see coming through as well in certain elements, but there's some positive things that industry has, and there's pluses and minuses, because when it comes to industry, it's about the highest bidder. I know artists that I was going to book for GR Live once, a big artist that I like, and then I heard in a grapevine that person would counsel for the highest bidder. You know what I mean? So if somebody else comes,
that lack of integrity, that's a pure lack of integrity right there.
Yeah, but this is a big artist now, well known, well respected. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the game, second generation, but yet that's how they operate, so it's like a case of we want industry, but there's that negative side of industry now. Okay, right, we're looking at right now we've got gospel topics going on now, the gospel topics, and then also we're looking at this Gmia CEO situation that you've got blessed with. I was going to use another word, but I thought I better not. We're not on the phone. You got persuaded to do, but anyway, but okay then, right? See, you've got this role and you've got this position. I'm again, before anyone goes, but you an insider, Roger? Yes, I'm an insider. I'm one of the directors of Gmia, and yes, I know we've been mentioned a number of times in a lot of debates going on out there. What have we done? But the key thing for me is getting the foundation correct, because too often in our people we rush for the 20 grand and don't realize that we really need 250 grand, and to do that you have to dig your foundation and make a big yard. That's just where I'm at, and where we're thinking at as well. Also, we got a major issue culturally that we need to break down within black music. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that need to be, you know what I'm saying, with black music, because black music is broad. Something I learned about Infinity, Audrey, is black music is broad. You've got
definitely,
Caribbean music is broad itself. Let's look at Caribbean music alone. You got soca, you've got reggae, you've got Hillsong, Caribbean music. What Sharon, we love you. So you've got them styles within there. Then you got to branch into the R&B, the hip hops of the Americas. You got the traditional sound of gospel. You've you know what I mean. You've got the modern commercial sound of hip hop as well, which is different to the true essence of hip hop. And then you got to move to the UK, which is anyway. Let's go to Africa, and then you got the African Afrobeats, and you got this so we've got over 7-8 genres to somehow bring together. It's not easy because all has its things together. So for me now, okay, we got Gmia going on now. What are I'm not gonna say what are our plans, but what are the plans, man? What are you thinking, and why did you say yes? Because obviously that you would have said no if you thought it was a waste of time. How do you feel this CEO? What are you not looking to implement, but where do you feel you can make a difference?
Yeah, so I think because I've got this desire to see things done, I think that's probably the main reason why I've been headhunted at last.
True.
Right? True. That's probably why, because I like to see things done, and I do have a very methodical way of working through stuff. I do question, why are we doing this project? Why do we need another award ceremony? Why do we need? I do question those things.
Oh my gosh!
And where's the money coming from to do this? What's the plan in terms of marketing? So I do sort of walk customers, clients, whoever I'm working through the different processes, and I will take my time to do that to ensure that it's done correctly. So I think that's probably why I've been selected for that role. There's, of course, Gmia went through some reconstruction.
Yep.
And as a result, you've had to work out different things during that year's span. So it's about sort of getting the front face of Gmia up and running, in terms of website, in terms of getting the directory up to date, and giving it, being that resource, because the key thing for me is that we're supposed to be a resource, sort of one-stop shop for information, one-stop shop for again issues that affect the gospel and how we can change that as well, to be a voice for membership for people that are involved in it. So it's about getting it up on its feet to start with, and then but also involving the membership into seeing what they want to see happening, and then working through those solutions as well.
And the UK to work together as well, and I think that's a key thing as well. Something which we are looking at in terms of regions as well.
Definitely. That's. I mean, I spent this first 2 weeks speaking to people from the different regions and trying to look at what are the issues in your regions and what do your people respond to versus what they don't. Because I'm very aware that London's gospel artist community is different from Birmingham's, or different from Scotland's, or different from, so they're trying to work out what the different aspects are that affect them. And when we do start presenting projects, for those regional coordinators to be a very central point to say, look, this is what we're planning. I want you to just be really frank with me. Will it work in your area? Won't it? How can we make it viable for your people? Right? Do we need to roll it out in your area? Maybe we don't need to roll it out in your area, or maybe we need to give you a different design so that we are accommodating what needs doing.
See, just a quick question. I'm not going to dwell too much. Do you find that the people outside London, do they have some resentment towards the London? Was that?
I think that I do see, I can speak quite freely in the sense of that gap that I had out of the UK, that would have shown me the gaps when I came back. Okay. And there is a schism, isn't there, between the whole London-centric audience and I think there is I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is, but maybe because I wasn't here those 12 years, or maybe during that gospel boom, that's where it was highlighted. Yeah. But there is a disconnect, or maybe a disconnect. I mean, I listened to the great debate where Nicola was saying that she used to be terrified about the prospect of coming to London to perform. Terrified, she said, Yeah. because she's just like, the thing is, if you go to London, you better just blow up. If you don't blow up, then you're never going to make it in this town or in your own town. So, I think London has a lot of pressures applied to it.
Oh yeah, I think my
Or a lot
wife.
of standards maybe is the word. And that's not to say that other eras don't have standards, but I don't know, you deal with each community differently.
Yeah, because when I used to do tours with my missus back, but it took me like early 2000s. We did a gig in, like, when I mentioned about Nigeria, we did a gig in Lagos before we did in London. Yeah, so we went abroad
Right.
before we did London. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, we did it all around the UK and all this business, but we never did London for absolute
We
years.
never did London. Wow, okay.
So it was like a big massive. They're prepared. It comes off with a, we'll come and do something for you, but you don't come here to. You know what I mean? So you know it does. Okay. So it can't be. So
I think that's at the heart of it. Then it's just that London are not paying enough attention to other cities. And then other cities have this. Well, why should we pay attention to you?
Yeah, it's just a cultural. I think it's not just a gospel thing. It's just a whole cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing. Okay,
and I think that as well. New Yorkers are the same. New York think they don't need to leave New York, and they're cool with New York, and you know everything's in New York, and then the rest of America carry on with what they're going on with. So like. I think that there's always that central feeling when it comes to big cities, I think. And I think London, don't get me wrong, is a big city. And you can actually tour London without coming out the UK. But right about now, in this season, there's more, and what I was trying to explain to London artists, there's more people outside of London than in London. And that's when we can break the scene. And you mentioned about, you know, we're working together. My friend, he plays keyboards and he started playing for worship artists. And he said to me, pulled me aside and said, Roger, you know, the worship guys don't have the beef that we have, between each other. And I think that's, I don't know, do you find that's a schism that we have? We don't really want to, we just hold everything to our chest in the gospel community? Or is it, you think that we were quite open about, you know, I mean,
if that's happening, I do think it's more cultural than it is industry.
Okay, cool.
I do feel like it's more cultural.
Okay, cool. That's
because I mean, nothing hinders you from being from the Midlands and coming to the UK coming to London to perform. You know, but I mean, if you know there's an event coming on, maybe you shouldn't be waiting for an invite. But like they're doing the Caribbean, make a way for yourself. Literally, just contact the promoter and say, you're from Birmingham, you'd like to be able to come on the show. Is there any way that could be feasible? So maybe just be more proactive all around. And that same thing for London acts. If they want to come to Birmingham, and they see Rogers putting on an event, call him. You know,
yeah, they did.
Call him.
Trust me.
You can make it happen.
I remember doing GR Live, and the moment the contract is signed from America, before I even promote the gig, I'm having a phone call from certain manager, and she'll be like, "Yo, Raj, I heard." What did you hear? The ink is not even dry yet. You know what I'm saying? I heard. I want this artist on the bill. Okay, what are you gonna do for me? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Okay, cool. Let's do this. You know what I mean? And it's like it's that get go. But again, you know, the resources, the managers, and I feel as a manager, I feel like rejected in the gospel system because everybody feels they can do it themselves because of that whole online world. They feel like doing 2 Instagram posts, they can put the things out on Spotify themselves, they can do this by themselves, and they just feel like they can just do it themselves and they don't need an industry, don't need industry professionals. But for the gospel topics that I've been involved with, we need people specializing in these sort of areas, and we need to be recruiting, we need to be supporting, we need to be networking, and there's people.
That's right, definitely.
And you know, with conversation with all the way in Scotland, I'm thinking Scotland, there ain't nobody up in Scotland, you can't do no shows in Scotland. I've been to Scotland.
Then you hear they do an annual festival, it's like, what? A gospel one?
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Inviting Moyua, like, yo, when did it happen? You know, it's like crazy, like absolutely, like, so there's things happening, and I know people do go up there, but like I never knew it was like that, you know, and and I think that's something definitely special to go with. But you know, so do you see a great future for UK gospel, or do you feel that it's gonna be a hard battle over the next 5 years?
If once we network correctly, there's no reason why it would have to take as long as starting from scratch, because there's no way we're starting from scratch, let's put it that way.
Cool.
Right? Because,
That's cool.
there's just too much floating around. It's just putting the pieces together correctly, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's a matter of, a huge length of time. I think it's about putting those pieces together in the right order so that everybody is facilitated. And it does, working with managers and being able to find out who are the managers. The simple things like that, that's where those things start. Who can help me with branding? Who can help me with image? Who can help me, with bookings, etc. It's being able to locate those people and being able to tap into the expertise that they bring. And encouraging artists to do the same, to build your own industry as your own career as an industry. So to develop merchandise and to not just rely on the music product, because more and more it's becoming the byproduct. So you have to be able to have other streams.
Okay, cool. No, 100%. Do you, on one of the last notes, do you what are the areas that we really need to invest into in over here? What areas, like for example, is it management, promoters, media? What areas are we clinking in the UK right now that we need to invest into? I know I've got my opinions, but what's your opinion about one of the underdeveloped areas that will be important moving forward?
I think it is a mind shift.
Okay,
it's a mind shift for everybody. I think it is. Artists realize, as you say, artists do more and more stuff by themselves because everything is digitalized, etc. But it is understanding that being independent doesn't mean operating alone, and that we need to shift that mentality. It's a mindset change for churches in understanding the value of having gospel artists on their stage, having that ministry there. It's a shift in understanding that we should be using practitioners to help develop what we're doing, and having those practitioners highlighted, recognized, given a platform that they can communicate their expertise. Because you'd be surprised how much expertise is right in your yard, but you just don't know, who it is or what they do. Like myself, like a lot of people don't know, like doing all of this is a big deal for me. Huge deal, because nobody ever sees me. You only see me when I go out to gigs. COVID's been a breeze for me, staying at home, because that's what I do. I stay at home and work right through. So, but in terms of going out and be seen on camera, talking to me, that's a really big deal for me. And that's something I want to stop with other practitioners. I want to know who they are, where they are, what they're doing in the industry. So, yeah, those kinds of things are important. It's all about mind shifts.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And you're seeing the benefits of what can happen when you do it those ways, because very often that's the approach we have to take. Somebody's got to do it first, and then people gravitate to it. 100%. It's never, here is the strategy for 2021, point from 1 to blah blah blah, and then go away and execute it. It's never really like that. No. That can be happening in the background, but the front of the shop is really like, look at this new thing, or look at what we've been able to achieve with this artist called Out Music, for example. And then I am sure he's inundated with, how did you get it done? Those things happen, and that's the way we tend to work.
Yeah, no, 100%. We definitely do work like that. We like to see the results before you can start talking to me about anything. Right. Don't talk to me about becoming a millionaire if you got £1 in your bank account. You know what I mean? Show me your figures, and then I'll.
But then you should be going to the millionaires' workshops, and that's my problem. It's like when the millionaire puts on a workshop, you're not going. You know what I mean? You just want to watch him on Instagram and see the money that he's made and the things that he's posting. But you're not committing yourself to a masterclass. Or committing yourself to a 12-week program because it's going to make you a better artist, or it's going to develop, you know what I mean? It's just like develop your performance or develop you to tour, for example. I've had lots of little projects that I've wanted to submit for funding for, but I realized that I've got to pause that and go back and fix up this before. And that's painstaking. Do you know what I mean? I know I want to tour artists. I want to develop a tour circuit. I've got a blueprint of how I would do it. But then if I submit, these are the acts that I want to tour, and then they go and research, any type of investor goes to research, and they go to the artist page, and they've got, maybe they've got free pages on Facebook. Free pages. Exactly. Who does that? And you've posted the last time in 6 months. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and you're calling this person the biggest person in gospel rap. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And the fact remains that because we're operating inside a bubble effectively, that person could be the biggest person in UK rap, but because on the circuit, outside in churches, etc., but they're just not paying attention to the other areas that matter. The other areas that are going to give them credibility. So it's about
that's all good. And it's like, I felt like this period has really showed there's a disconnect. Reset, because there's a disconnect between the artists. Because as you talk about social media, you go on Instagram with some of the artists and you're thinking they're flossing, sis. They're absolutely like going, yo, your artistry life is great. But when you actually talk to them, they're struggling, sis. You know what I mean? And I get the whole social media, and we present something out there, and people need to know that we actually care. We really want this thing to move forward, and we both sis want to create a system which somebody else can step into our place, and then we can go to a little island in the sun and then rest before we reach the real island in the sun up in heaven. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. So go and check out my family over in St. Kitts and just chill there for a good few years before, you know what I mean, and whatsoever. But no, definitely appreciate this. But we've got something coming up with GMIA. Do you want to chat about that? Are we allowed to chat about that?
I don't have all the information in front of me, but definitely we're doing a town hall.
We're doing a town hall meeting where it's not going to be a great debate. It's not going to. No, it's not. Yo,
it's not going to be
big up to great debate and all these guys who really it's great because
you need to watch them.
And I'm just absorbing information. Going, is that right? And actually,
our demographics are so wide that we just don't. And not unless you listen to debates like that or you go to gospel topics, when you figure out, that's a different way of thinking, or this is how people are really perceiving what I'm doing, or it is really different.
Oh, 100%. Wanted to throw my iPad out the screen, out the window a couple of times when some people spoke. But apart from that part, it's quite frustrating when people kind of talk. Anyway, Roger, it's not about evaluating people's conversations as a great debate before I start going on people anyway, still, yeah. But what are we trying to achieve with this town hall event? We want people to come and we want to do. This is about resolution. This is about looking at ways forward and actually saying this is what we're going to try and do, and we need you to come on board. And I think that I don't know about yourself, but GMIA
supporting the solution.
Let's not stop chatting. We've been chatting for 60 years. Yeah, that's the narrative from since we come off. In 1950 odd, I think it was 56, 7 that our families came over to this country. We've been scrapping, and it stops now, and when we came over in them periods there, people loved our music, but it wasn't. It was held back. Now, our music. When I was at school, people don't realize. Nearest thing to hip hop being on TV was MC Hammer. Yeah, and you know what I mean, and Fresh Prince in Bel-Air. You know what I'm saying? Still can't. Boom Boom Shake the Room by Will Smith. But we're not to the level that we see today. You know what I mean? Our music being so popularized. Obviously, you had Bob Marley, but our music's so popularized right now. How are we not benefiting from it now?
Yeah. That's very, very true.
You know, and look at Sister Act. From Sister Act to now, everybody knows Happy Days like that. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Joyful Lord. Everybody knows the sound of gospel and the transformation of a dry Roman Catholic choir that are a bit lighter than me, which doesn't leave much space.
More edits.
You know what I'm saying? And they weren't so lively, but everyone came to church and filled the church when they had a load of black people, not black, black people, that sang black gospel style of music, and it attracted people. We attract.
Yeah.
But in the UK, it's like, we don't. It's like
capitalizing on that.
Have we really maximized that? You know what I mean? When we sing, people gravitate to us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying nobody else. When everyone else sings, it doesn't happen. But I'm just telling you about us and what we do. You know what I'm saying? And we have. It's now time to
definitely.
Sorry, guys, I got to be emotional there. But yeah, but sis, for yourself, what outcomes do you want from this town hall events and these town hall events going forward? What outcomes are you looking for? because we are looking at outcomes.
I definitely want to hear what people are saying. We need to listen to what they're saying, and then sort of work from that premise to develop projects that will help and incentives that will help to push things along. As I say, sort of block by block and putting the blocks in the right order, and maybe even sort of translating that these are the reasons why this can't be done yet, or this cannot be changed yet, so that at least people know we're moving towards that. It's just not going to happen right now, but we're moving towards it. And that when, you know, develop our little milestones of when those things will sort of start to evolve.
Oh, 100%, man. 100%.
But listening to people is important. It's important.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running a membership body, it's like, you've got to listen to what people are saying.
It's real important. Listening is something key, something I say in a lot of areas in life. You can tell if you're gonna be in a fair conversation if the person opposite you is going to listen. And I think a lot of things, from when it comes to race, when it comes to issues within our community, as soon as we open our mouth and the person's worked out what we're about to say, I know what you're saying, man, yo, this is what we're going to do about that. Hold on, you haven't even heard, you haven't listened to, you know what I mean? Listening is just the start of the dialogue, the true dialogue, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that's real cool. That's superb cool. So sis, I guess you're excited, and we'll get out some information, guys. Go to Gmia, check out Gmia on Instagram. With information be going out in the next few days about this whole town of work. Do sign up. We're going to hit the information out there. There's going to be I know Lady T be pushing out there, myself, obviously Audrey, keep an eye on what Anu's saying, Wisdom, the whole crew, you know what I mean, Juliet Fletcher, and then a number of us that in the board membership. We really want to hear what people's got to say. We really want to move on things. We've spent a lot of time trying to get get everything into place, and we're looking at making big moves. And what I'm looking forward to, sis, is really defying logic, and I'm excited. We're gonna defy logic, man. You know, God give us strength, you know what I mean, and stuff, and then we're gonna definitely defy it. But on that note, sis,
brilliant.
Tell me which artists you're looking forward to see this. I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. You know what I mean? I know you're always getting UK artists approaching you, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. I was gonna ask you my usual question: jollof rice or rice and peas having a Sunday, but there's no point. There's no point of asking that question. So I was just gonna put you on the spot about the artist situation.
But there might be a point. I like a good jollof myself, you know.
Well, you know, I know it's more popular down in the south, jollof rice, but
I don't make it.
In the Midlands, it enters popular like that. I'll get in trouble with tea for that. But anyway, which artists are you looking forward for things from?
In the UK?
In the UK.
I like Rufellin, you know.
You know what? That was in my head. You're reading my mind. Yeah.
And Chantel Fuller. I'd love to see things progress for them.
Oh, yeah. That whole, like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The whole vibes. Yep. The vibes thing still, you know what I mean? The old coffee. Well, I think that's gonna be the first big gigs out there, coffee shop gigs. So they're gonna get bare shows.
And Still Shady, love him.
Still Shady.
I love the package that he brings. Do you understand?
You know what? I've never seen him live. Yeah, you know, you have to see him live, man. Seriously.
His engagement, him and Chantel's engagement on stage, it's like you could learn a lot. Trust me. Okay. Learn a lot.
It comes across a certain way, and I'm like, and you know, when I first saw him, I thought it's gonna be like a rapper, but he's not really a rapper. He's more churchy than a rapper. There's a churchy element to him, which is like, and no offense to dude, I'm not saying he's not relevant, but he's just got that whole. He's not trying to portray this whole gangster drill kind of vibe. He's just more happier,
and that's what you get sort of misunderstood. But when you see it coming towards you, like, you know what, I'm here already, and I'm loving this. It's just like, I thought I was going to get this, but I got this, and the way he delivers it, it's like, I can't say no. I'll have some of that.
Okay, you know? Cool, so, man. Cool.
Cool.
That's still shit. And just so we know, you're looking at artists today, just for my sake, just for me, because he did point out Bob Marley, but take Bob Marley out. What singers did you used to listen to? What was the gospel singers? What were? I always say my first thing was Andrew Crouch.
I'll let you know that.
You Fred
Hammond back to back. Listen, totally. Listen, when I was in the choir and they were doing Fred Hammond songs, I would be correcting the musicians. No, the bass line don't go like that.
No.
I would be the one that be holding up the rehearsal because the harmonies actually changed there. If you rewind it and listen, I'd be the one that be holding up rehearsal.
So,
because I would know those albums back to back. Trust me.
So which Is it Pages? Is it Pages of Life?
Yeah, Pages of Life. Oh my gosh! Now you're gonna make me start listening to it back to back again. That's what's like gonna happen now.
That was the one where he had a live version and a studio version.
Yeah,
that was deep. That was, you know, what I mean, absolutely. But I must admit, I liked his track, the Peace That Passeth All Understanding on the live.
Okay,
LA Shaking.
I can see the covers when you mentioned.
Oh yeah. When he's doing that whole thing with Hezekiah Walker and stuff. But that's interesting. I didn't even use into Fred like that. Okay.
Totally. And CeCe Winans, I think, gobbled up that after I managed Fred. Then Karen, right true. Karen Clark and Kim Burrell.
I never got with Kim.
To people that don't teach me anything, Roger. You've got to be teaching me something. Whether you're doing it musically or vocally, you've got to teach me stuff. True. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Some caliber right there, man. I'm an Andrew Crouch man, but you know, I can work with a bit of Fred. Even if I get it with Fred, I'm not a Fred fan. You watch Verse, isn't it?
Yeah, but then remember, we started up. Our journeys started different times, so I would have jumped in when Fred was in that era. Do you understand? Whereas you went a bit further back to Andre. It's not until I started to listen to Kim that then I went and got research and found Andre.
Right, because unfortunately,
afterwards, but
I was forced with vinyls of Andre Crouch live in London, 1976 when I was born. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's a whole other thing, man. But listen to this. Fantastic, having a great chat with you today still. Yo guys, check out Audrey. Yo sis, how can people reach out to you? Fill her inbox.
That's my website, industrydeveloper.com. And it's Industry Developer on Instagram and Facebook, and it's just Industry Develop on Twitter because they won't allow you to have the ER. So if you go there, and then it's artisthub.net. It's artist with an E. Net.hub is for the artist services, tour management and event production services.
Brilliant.
So so you go and check those out, and the Gospel Topics sign-ups are on the Industry Developer site. So listen, sis, or on Instagram as well. You can find it there.
To go through the pain I'm going through my tough, sis, to talk to you today was amazing, man, and it was definitely 1000%. Even though you
quite well, did quite well.
Listen, it's called
considering how you behave in topic in Gospel Topics. Should we cut Roger off? Should we cut him off?
No,
did he just say that? He just said that.
I just thought nothing but the truth anyway, so everyone knows man, the edge.
As painful as it might be,
Oh, it is painful right now just to talk. You know what I'm saying? But now 100% is great, and even just to know a bit more about yourself, because we chat, but sometimes I like to grab out where you're coming from, I mean, to know that you're not coming with some singing ability, and you've done the vocal.
Yeah, I've got that creative side, and the business side was by force. I had to do it, so it's just like brilliant I say, stuff. Very organically developed career kind of thing.
All right, then this is Audrey Gray on the edge. I've been dying to do this. She's been avoiding this for 6 months, and I've got her right now on the edge right now. You know what I'm saying? But sis, thanks again, and enough love, and another day, But listen, man, take care, and listen, guys, I'm gonna play a UK artist. Yes, I know it's rare for me, but I'm gonna play a UK artist. And it's called Toby A, and you know what, this artist is actually from Ireland, I believe. Yeah. It's got a decent vibe about him, and his track called is Don't Let Me Go. So check this out, guys. Hopefully you enjoy the vibe anyway. It says enough love, man. Bless you.
All right then, thank you. Bye.